So once again, I am Tom Downey. Alongside me is James Yoder here. The committee released their top 25 college football playoff teams. Let's take a look now at James with our friends over at BetDSI with the help of some hypothetical odds. If some of these top 25 teams, namely the top 4 teams, top 5 teams, if they played each other in a neutral site game, i.e. a college football playoff game, what would the odds look like? So Alabama here, the heavy favorites.
Definitely a heavy
favorite. Not a
favorite.
Surprise at all, right?
I'll ask. I'll go to the production team in the back. I'd love to find out what the spreads were the last 3 years. Alabama, Clemson, they played 3 straight years in the playoff, 2 national title games. I think those are both. I think the second one when Clemson won, it was like a point game.
It was close.
It was not Alabama or Clemson favored by big. I can't remember the first one. I do think Alabama, even though they were non-conference champion, they might have been number 4 versus number 1 last year, if I recall. They were Alabama. I remember them being like a 6 or 7 point favorite last year as well. So clearly the committee thinks Clemson is number 2, and the sportsbooks, BetDSI, believes that Alabama and Clemson are the best 2 teams, and that Clemson would give Alabama the best bet, or that's where the people
noteworthy here that Michigan has a better spread than Ohio State does.
For sure. Oh, again, almost against every single team, that we're going to see coming up here. Oklahoma, 9.5 point underdogs. Alabama being 11.5 point favorite over Michigan, Tom, and a 2 touchdown favorite over an Urban Meyer coach Ohio State Buckeyes
And we'll
team.
make note, as of right now, the spread is 14.5. Bama on the road against LSU. So
insane.
call it 17.5 at a neutral site game.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, we've got some odds too, Tom. We've got Washington State Bama being 18.5 point favorite. If they played UCF, actually better odds, they'd be a 16.5 point favorite. And then we had Notre Dame up there. We'll come back. I guess we're back there. So Notre Dame, it was 15.5 points. That Notre Dame would be an underdog from
Only
Alabama.
Only a point better than UCF.
That is, Tom,
that's insane to me. I
Dame
totally disagree with that.
Beat Michigan. Notre Dame has not lost a game. Ian Book looks like he can light it up with the best of the passing game. Notre Dame's defense, great D-line, strong corner, strong secondary. I think that's an insane line, but I think it proves how strong Notre Dame is. And actually, maybe it's like, oh, well, how strong Alabama is. Notre Dame hasn't blown many people out. They've had a lot of close games.
Don't buy Notre Dame. Apparently, neither does the CFP selection committee.
Tom, what this says to me is Notre Dame's going to lose a game. They're going to lose a game.
I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
They've come so close so many times, they might slip up at some point.
They're going to lose to Northwestern or Syracuse. Maybe they still got Florida State, Syracuse,
road game,
Notre
Northwestern
Dame
this week.
Yeah, and they've got
trap game there.
USC as well. So it's going to be a wild run for Notre Dame. If they win out, they definitely deserve a playoff spot.
All right, so Bama there. Let's look at Clemson then. Again, Clemson 6-point underdogs. Clemson, though, favored against Oklahoma, against Georgia, against Michigan. They're the favorites there.
And I would actually bet Clemson probably against all those. I think that they would be 7-point or more favorites against all those teams. Oklahoma, maybe not, because it kind of reminds me of that Oklahoma-Georgia game last year where I didn't really know what to make of it. Freshman quarterback, dynamic Oklahoma offense. That could be a really high-scoring one, potentially Clemson versus Oklahoma, just like that Oklahoma-Georgia game was. Clemson favorites against everybody against Alabama, Tom. Maybe
Clemson's number 2 then.
Maybe the sports books have a little bit of a backdoor into the college football playoff committees. They get the info before we do because they knew better than we do. Of course, Clemson is
11.5.
Is number 2. Should they play number 3 LSU? 9.5 point favorites, Tom. Ohio State, they'd be also 9.5 point favorites. Those 2 teams played each other a few years back in the bowl game, 31-0 Clemson. And then if they played Notre Dame, Clemson would be 11.5 point favorite. Tom, Notre Dame is getting no love, favored against no one of the teams that we asked BetDSI make rankings for hypothetical college football playoff lines.
Speaking of Notre Dame, let's take a look at those hypothetical odds here. And there are some stunners. Oh, look, I get it being underdogs against Bama and Clemson and Oklahoma. 5.5 against Georgia. I think I might go Notre Dame there.
I would too. Oh, yeah.
Maybe I think I'd take the points against Oklahoma. I don't know if they'd win outright, but I think I'd take the points there too.
7 points for sure.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I believe I'm right here. They had a rematch one against Michigan.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame is the underdog. Notre Dame.
4.5 points, Tom.
Who beat Michigan.
By 7.
Yeah, it was home.
I know.
And it wasn't even a true 7-point game. It was Michigan kind of scored late a little bit in that one.
Late-ish, yeah.
Late-ish. They are underdogs now. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
There's no respect for the Fighting Irish right now.
I would put a lot of money on Ohio State if they were 2-point favorite.
I actually would too. I actually would too.
So I probably would put money on Notre Dame. I don't know about Michigan. I mean, Notre Dame looked like a better team that day than Michigan, but things have changed since then. But if you think about it, Tom, where are we going to put our money? If we're betting in this games, I would have a tough time putting money on Notre Dame, betting my name. The sports books don't want you to bet all your money. Everybody just picks one team. And so as such, like, you've got to make Notre Dame an underdog because if they were favored over LSU, if they were favored over Ohio State, everyone bet LSU or Ohio State against them, right? That's how it would work. So you have got to incentivize people to bet Notre Dame, and that's apparently what these lines are doing.
How about some Michigan odds here? They're big underdogs against Alabama, underdogs against Clemson, also against Oklahoma.
Yep. We saw their favorite against Notre Dame.
I kind of agree with these spreads. I think this pretty spot on.
Yeah, so they were they're slight favorites. Oklahoma, Michigan. Gosh, if that would turn into a high-scoring game, Oklahoma would just destroy Michigan. I'm sorry. I think they could keep it close against Clemson. That Alabama line, I might take Michigan just because of the defense. I think it
could be a low-scoring.
I'd have trouble seeing Alabama score more than 24 or 28 points against Michigan. Michigan could score 2 touchdowns. They keep it within that 11.5-point game, Tom. We've got some more hypothetical college football odds coming up. Some more of Michigan. They would be basically a pick'em, but they would be a half-point underdog, Tom, if they were to face Georgia. Now, they would be a 3-point favorite against LSU, which I actually like. I think I would definitely bet Michigan against LSU from what I've seen this year. And then if they rematch against Notre Dame in a neutral site game, everything we know now, they would be a 4.5-point favorite over the Fighting Irish, Tom, the Michigan Wolverines, against a team that beat them by 7 points. So basically, you're talking about an 11.5-point swing for that to be a kind of a true division. Tom, the Ohio State Buckeyes are next. How would they fare against the biggest big boys in college football?
Interesting. They're 4.5-point dogs against Oklahoma, which I think is fair given what we saw against. I wonder if they had done these before the Purdue game.
Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Alabama. I like to see those three teams that can play a round robin because their quarterbacks are just so strong. I would love to see those games.
That would be fun. I agree with that one there. I do wonder though, what would these odds have been like if it had been played before, it had been put out before the Purdue game?
Yeah, I bet
OSU would have been favored in a lot of these.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they would have definitely been favored over Georgia. I think they would have been favored by like 7 or 9 over Notre Dame had they played that. And I bet the Alabama spread would only have been about 7. I think they would be basically 2B with Clemson, where Clemson's right now is core to these spreads because Urban Meyer, the big game factor.
The way Haskins played before the year.
Exactly, and they've been looking good. Although they did have a couple close games leading up to that Purdue game, but prior to that, their first 4 games of the year, they had crushed everybody. So I think Ohio State took a hit in the eyes of the public, and as such, the rankings are reflected here. Tom, you can't bet these games yet.
Not yet.
Although you can start approaching the college football playoffs, your New Year's bets based on these. But if you want to bet, Tom, I got to do it with BetDSI. We hooked you up. We clawed. We begged. We pleaded. And if you don't, just stop this video now. Pause it on YouTube Live, Facebook. Come back. Go sign up BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. This promo will not last forever. All these other sportsbooks offering 20% bonuses, 50%, 120% bonus. You put 100 in, you get 120. You put in 500, Tom. I'm going to look around. I want people to hear us. $600 bonus. That's basically that's just absurd odds. CFP 120 is the promo code. Use the URL chatsports.com/bet to get going with BetDSI today.